It's fair to say after the huge highs, you've also had some big lows. But how do you overcome adversity and rebuild your career and even your reputation sometimes?
Yeah, first of all, from the Bloodgate point of view, I got banned for 3 years, and just touching on that, it's one of these things whereby you do something, you think it's wrong, and your gut instinct says it's wrong, and you still do it. Then you expect everything you get. But there I was the day after being banned for 3 years, and I was sat at home, uh, and there's a 90-year-old next door neighbour came round, knocks on the door at about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. And he said, "Do you mind if I come in, Dean?" And I said, "Yeah, not a problem." And he came in and he'd got a Tesco carrier bag with 4 cans of Tetley Bitter in it. And I said, "Do you fancy a cup of coffee?" He said, "No, well, we'll have a beer, shall we?" And he opened up the bag, put the beers on the table, and we sat down. And he said, "Have I ever told you my story? And my life story?" I said, "No." And he then talked me through his experiences of his involvement in the Second World War, when he was captured by the Nazis. He put in a prisoner of war camp. He escaped, spent something like 6 or 8 months trying to get across. Talked through all his fighting and everything else like that. And at the end of this, I'm sat there absolutely gobsmacked, listening to this, what I think is a hero sat there. And he said to me right at the end of it, said, "And you've got a few problems, have you?" Nothing like that, no. And he said, "What?" I said, "No." So that's unbelievable what you've told me, and I sort of totally understand what you're getting at. And every problem you have, and everything that you can sort of quantify, qualify, understand, where you are. And if you relate to something like that, you say, well, the problems I've got are absolutely nothing compared to what this guy has gone through. And I sat down there after he went, and I just thought, what a lovely bloke. And he'd taken the time out, bought 4 cans of beer to come and just sit down with me, and just to say, look, your problems aren't that bad. So they may seem big at the moment, but they'll, in time, they'll. And you do, and providing you're honest with yourself, you understand that you fucked up massively. Do you love the game? If so, are you out of love with the game? Will you come back in? And I sort of fell out of love with it a little bit, because there's a big battle going on between myself and the lawyers from the ERC. I was trying to find out what I could do and what I couldn't do, and getting for me, the one thing you don't want to do is to compromise your children and everything else like that. And even turning around to ERC and saying, "Look, what can I do? Can I go and watch my kids play rugby? Is this to the extent of what?" And then it all comes out, that I've been challenging it, and but understanding where you stand and accepting it, and then falling out of love with it for a little while, but then watching your kids play, and then falling back in love with it through watching your kids play, and then getting another opportunity. It was absolutely massive for me, because I didn't think that I'd get another opportunity, and I'd started to look at various other things. But yeah, I mean, to get another chance, I've got to say, I'm hard to see more Curdy up at Newcastle. To get that second chance was absolutely massive.
Yeah, and it's fair to say that you took that chance with Newcastle. But what would be your biggest tip for kind of getting off the floor? Whether life, business, what would you say?
I think the biggest impact it was never on me personally. It's always the family, and you always think about your family and the impact upon them, your wife, your kids, your parents, your grandparents, and you worry about the impact upon them more than anything. And I think that having seen so much in the police and been involved in so much, you sort of tend to understand you can rationalise things a lot more easily, and you can compartmentalise it, push it to one side, and then sort of move forward a little bit. But from a kid's point of view, who are far less resilient than me, and a wife and parents who haven't seen the same things that I'd seen, is a very different thing altogether. And that was the biggest impact on me, was actually seeing them suffer as a result of my actions. And yeah, I thought that was terrible. And actually trying to sort of mend those, sort of bridge those, not gaps, but make amends, make life easier and whatever. But it wasn't easy for them at all. And that's the thing that hurt most of all.